Hello and welcome to Sly Media TV. Welcome to one of our current affairs shows where we look at issues that are happening in our communities. And one of the issues that are burning at the moment is the issue regards the increment made by government to teachers' salaries in US dollar terms. And we tried and said, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to look at this issue. The best way to do it is to deal or speak with the teachers, the people that are affected, the people that were given the increment. And we're lucky that we are able to speak with the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe Teachers Association, right? It's called Zimbabwe Teachers Association. What? ZIMTA is what?
Yeah.
Zimbabwe Teachers Association, yes. He is the Secretary General there, and we are going to have insights from him. I want to welcome you to Sly Media and welcome you to this program, Mr. Tadere.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, listeners, as well.
Yes. Yes.
Let's
start right on the issue that is burning at the moment. We understand that the government has extended an increment in US dollar terms to your salaries, but we want to understand what are the reactions from you as an association and also as a body that represents teachers.
Thank you very much. As an association, our first reaction was that that wasn't adequate enough for us. It wasn't quite exactly what we were expecting, because we are also looking at what is happening in the economy and the quantum of the money that they gave us. We were expecting that they would give us the US dollar component as per promised by the Minister of Finance, and then also the RTGS component if there's challenges with US dollars.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that you were expecting what had been promised by the Minister of Finance, I know that our listeners and viewers will be happy to also have an understanding as to what had been promised and why did you not get that?
Okay, thank you very much. The Minister of Finance, in a social dialogue where the Minister of Public Service was also there, and also the chairperson of the public services. We all unions and the Zimbabwe Confederation of Public Sector Trade Unions, which is the umbrella body, the confederation that represents civil service workers. In a meeting we held at the Rainbow Tower, the Minister of Finance actually promised to say he would consider increasing both the US dollar salary component as well as the RTGS salary component. To our amazement, come September, because the time frame was September. So come September payday, we realized then that nothing was put in our account, to the extent that we began to wonder as to the integrity of these ministers when they talk to us and their sincerity to improve the civil service condition. While the minister had not given us specific figures, but we obviously would not have expected to get $25 and nothing at all on the RTGS component, which is our salary, because the US dollar component, the cushion allowance.
Mm-hmm. So you are saying that in the negotiations, there were no figures agreed. You left it open and said the government must give you whatever they can give you.
After meeting the ministers and the chairperson of the Public Service Commission, we requested for meetings for countless times without number, and they did not invite us. They only invited us when they heard that we had sat down as a confederation and were threatening to do some kind of action. This is when they then invited us yesterday to a meeting where the government gave us the $25 from the 100 to become 125, and of course the COVID-19 allowance, which remained 75, to put it to 200. So they had not invited us even when we wanted to meet and discuss our salaries and the conditions of service.
What were the excuses? Why were you not meeting? Why were there no engagements between yourselves and the government?
I think what I can only say for now is that our collective bargaining chamber is faulty somehow, because apparently it is them, the employer, the government side, that have to invite us to a meeting. Despite our numerous calls for a meeting, more often than not, they don't respond positively. They don't invite us to the meeting. So they only invited us this time, but not to say that we have not been asking for those meetings. So it wasn't up until yesterday that they invited us.
So when you were invited yesterday, what were the issues under discussion? What were you pleased with?
Okay. The issues under discussion were basically the cost of living adjustment.
Yeah.
And the issue of the bonus. These are the two things that they brought, but I think the bonus was simply glossing over the real issue of the cost of living adjustment. Because the cost of living adjustment, government simply announced what it is that they were going to give us. Not that we negotiated and the figures were flighted and discussed until we then generally agreed on the 25. It's them that simply came and told us about the 25. And then on the bonus issue, which was part of the agenda, to our utter dismay and surprise, they did not even know when it is going to be paid. They did not even know the formula that is going to be used, whether we are going to get it in the same manner we got it last year or not, or whether it's going to be paid in this September as the minister's promised, or it would come together, tied together with the October salary. They just did not have. They were at sea, the government negotiators. And also, they then brought in issues around the school fees and around the performance awards that we agreed way back, and they have not yet implemented. And their catchword was the modalities were still being put in place. And to us, we think that they are negotiating in bad faith and that they are not serious.
With regards to the issue of bonuses that you are raising and that the negotiators were at bay, they didn't know or they couldn't respond to the questions that we had with regard to when, what criteria, what formula. As the people concerned, what would you want to see happen regarding the payment of bonuses? Would you want to see them being lumped together with the October salary? Would you want them to be separated? What is ideal for you?
What is ideal and traditional is that bonus has always been the 13th check.
Yes.
It implies, therefore, that if somebody was getting $500, they would expect double that in the months in which they would then be paying the bonus. And then traditionally, in terms of time frame, bonus has always been paid in November. And we would expect that we get a double salary in November. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. And obviously, one would then ask a question that with the $25 that you were given as increment, what does this say? What does it mean to you?
As far as we are concerned, it means that they have not moved much. They are not serious. When you look at other civil service workers, health, for example, they are now earning 4 or 5 times what teachers are getting. And we think that government is treating us as educators and other departments in the civil service very badly. And for that reason, we are still contemplating as to what we should do next in order to force them and demand that which is rightly and rightfully ours.
And this sounds like it's a targeted action when you say that it is only the teachers and probably a few other civil servants that are still getting less than what others are getting. Why do you think that government is not so much concerned with the education sector per se?
I think that government may not be so much concerned about the education sector specifically, maybe because of the numbers. I think their worry are the numbers, but they are the employers, and we are the ones who mind the children. And there is no two ways about it. Children have to be having teachers with them. And I think the other thing is that they also are ignoring the sector-specific allowances. Because when you look at these other ministries where they are giving more money, they have concentrated more on the allowances, and they've tended to ignore those allowances that we have always asked and challenged for.
So who from the civil service thinking that because you're saying that it seems that the teachers mostly are the ones that are neglected, but who among the civil service at the moment is getting more, and how much are they getting roughly?
Okay. Generally, without mincing words, it's the health service. The health sector, and most of them I think are upwards of 180. I wouldn't know the specifics. I wouldn't drill down to the specifics, but it's we are reliably informed that it's above 180. And of course, also the uniformed forces. The newspapers are awash with the increases in their salaries. And of course, as teachers, we wouldn't want to be talking about other government departments, but we would want the government to institute a grading system that is well known, that it adopted the Peterson system, which puts people in salary grades. If one has a diploma or a degree, then they must be put in the correct position and paid accordingly.
We know that for the longest time, you have been agitating for the government to at least go back to what has become known as the pre-October 2018 salaries, which is $540. What is happening around that debate when you engage government to say that let's go back to that? What is happening in terms of their response?
Thank you very much on that one. In fact, we have actually escalated from 540 to 840. You know why?
Yeah.
We have a research department. And practically on the ground, we have the Consumer Council of Zimbabwe, we have the Zimbabwean, and when you look at the poverty datum line, and which we don't believe teachers must be situated at the poverty datum line, because we think that we are in the upper middle income class. So what we're really saying is that we are now demanding 840, which we have said can be incrementally considered as when the economy improves. So we are saying it's no longer about the 540, the pre-October 2018. It's now about the 840. And it would be great and fine for us to attain the 540 as we proceed towards what will be happening on the ground in terms of the macro and the microeconomic fundamentals.
And we know that the argument that is coming from the government, even with the 540, is that it is not feasible, they don't have the money. How are you going to be dealing with the 840?
Okay, thank you very much. All we are presenting is a scenario which is practical on the ground. And we have not said, give us the 840 today, or the buildings, the highest and the tallest buildings will have to be brought down. But we are saying, let's incrementally look at that target as the economy improves. But surely giving us 200 only and less than 50,000 for our teachers, I think is a mockery.
So clearly there are members, and these members are growing louder and louder within the ranks of the education and teachers, where you are complaining about the environment, the remuneration. And I can't help it but to ask what's going to happen going forward. You were promised that by September end, something was going to be given, and something was given in the form of $25. And you're not happy with the $25. What's going to be done from here going forward?
Okay. In terms of what we're going to be doing, we'll have then to sit down and map our way forward. Because what we're saying is that as ZIMTA, the Zimbabwe Teachers Association, we strongly believe in social dialogue, genuine dialogue in good faith. So I think our members on the ground are already agitated, and they are even up in arms with the leadership to say, we understand government too much. So what we'll do is we'll get back to our members, and in any case, our members have already spoken. We will cross the bridge when we come to it. We have already indicated to say our members are not happy, and we also have no option other than to follow what our members are saying we must do. And what our members are saying we must do is that we must down tools. And we wouldn't want to go that route because we want to give dialogue a chance. So government, it is upon government to come back to us as quickly as possible, because in yesterday's meeting, they said they were going to consult because they didn't have the mandate to discuss the US dollar salary component. So they said they are going to consult on that. How bonus is going to be paid? They said they are going to consult on that. So we expect them to call us as quickly as possible before the situation goes out of hand.
And again, it sounds like you are leaving things open-ended. When you say you expect them to call you as soon as possible, I think your members would want to know time frames to say, at least in the next month, in 2 weeks, we would have done this.
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, why it was left open-ended, let me put it succinctly and say, we agreed that we needed to meet on Thursday, which is tomorrow. This is what we agreed during the meeting, at the NJNC meeting. However, the challenge is that the people who come to negotiate are not principals. They are government representatives. So we take cognizance of that. So they said they are going to consult their principals. And the sooner they get a response, then they will also quickly revert back to us. So it is our hope and wish that the principals will take this matter with the agency that it deserves.
And earlier you said that you are hoping that you are going to be called and consulted before the situation goes bad. And obviously, one would want to know what are you in reference to when you say that the situation is going to go bad?
The situation is already bad on the ground, my brother.
Yeah.
Why do I say so? Because when people are at work and they are demotivated, they don't deliver their utmost ability and performance. Then that destroys the future of the children when I speak specifically about teachers. And this increases corruption. You know, when you go to the passport offices, when you want a service, then these people then ask you for something else in order just to deliver a service. And this is when you see teachers moonlighting and also extorting parents by making them pay for extra lessons. Sometimes which you don't even know whether their children are benefiting or not. So the point here is when I say before the situation gets worse, you know, when you get money that does not suffice to meet all the basic needs, one may actually see that it is not necessary to report for duty. And therefore, they would then start to do many other things. You know, teachers are used to doing even many other things like selling wares in the streets, like being artisanal miners, and it is exposing our female teachers as well. You see, they begin to engage into some of these social vices because they are being exposed.
And probably one of my last questions to you. Earlier you spoke about downing tools. And what we have seen is that people get fired when they down tools. People are dismissed from employment when they down tools. And it deals a greater dent on their livelihoods. Now, my question is, what mechanisms do you have as a union when it comes to that, where your members are fired because they have down tools? Are there any mechanisms to then cushion them to make sure that they keep on sustaining?
Okay, thank you very much. As the Zimbabwe Teachers Association, we have set up a solidarity fund where we assist our members who then get affected through those government actions. We also have a legal department where we also have taken our employer to court so that we get a legal recourse. The only unfortunate thing is that the wheels of justice are slow to move. Even as we speak, we have made several presentations to the employer, and we have even taken the issue to the court, only that they have removed it from an agent role to a normal role. But it is one of our greatest tasks to make sure that we represent our members legally and also assist them by cushioning them through giving them some few stipends to make sure that they survive. And in terms of the employer threatening them to dismiss them from work and so forth, we are already dismissed, my brother. When you get an amount that does not even suffice to take your children to school, pay school fees, put food on the table, meet medicals, you are already fired. So my plea to our members is that it is now or never. And it is for the members to make sure that what is they call us to do, to call for the downing of tools, they must be seen to be also taking action so that we push our government to respond positively.
Let me thank you so much for your time and insights. Thank you. We really treasure them here on Sly Media TV. And let me also say that we'll keep on engaging and getting in touch so that we understand the story as it unfolds.
Thank you very much for the interview.
So basically what I want to find out from you is the government has given you $25 as an increment. What is the reaction from you and your members?
Members feel insulted by the government because the process and the quantum are both defective. The process is not a product of collective bargaining, and it is a product of one-armed banditry offer by the government. What the teachers in particular want is the restoration of their purchasing power parity pegged at US 540. So to give $25 to workers that are expecting the restoration of US 540 is insulting. And above all, there are a number of non-monetary incentives agreements with the government that have not been implemented over the past 4 years. So government is adopting an intransigent and irresponsible approach, impermeable to reason and facts. Workers are incapacitated and they expect a salary restoration of up to 540, which is a product of robust collective bargaining under under Section 65 of the Constitution. But this continued government arrogance and unilateral offer would not bring industrial harmony and productivity in schools or in any other workplace. And the workers are charting a way forward from federation level at 11:30 tomorrow, and at the government level as workers under the civil servants at 2 p.m. tomorrow. But the truth is that our members are angry and apprehensive, and they are calling for collective action against the arrogance of the government.
The government had promised from the interviews that we have had with numerous teachers' unions, it promised that by end of September, it was going to give something in terms of increment. But we find out that there was no agreed figure as to what the government was supposed to put as increment. Don't you think that that is a faulty way of dealing with this thing that has gone for so long as a problem with teachers?
Now, I want to be very clear that there was an agreement last year. The agreement last year in August to the effect that there would be a roadmap to the restoration of US 540 for government workers, particularly teachers. And that roadmap, the agreement was to the effect that it would be through by February this year. This is why you see that there was industrial action in February, because civil servants were looking at that roadmap. And then in February, then the government said they would have then worked that roadmap by September. So we expected that come September, the government would simply, workers, particularly teachers, are not calling for an increment. They are calling for the restoration of a salary that they were earning, a salary that was cooled unilaterally by the government. So the point must be very clear that it's not a salary increase that the workers are calling for, it's a restoration of a salary they were earning up to October 2018. Government agreed, and government is continuously prevaricating, vacillating, and if government must be blamed for failure to reach industrial harmony and productivity, because it has made promises after promises and failing to fulfill those promises, because it is adopting a temporary measure of simply firefighting rather than looking at a permanent solution where the government and employees would engage each other in meaningful discussion, reach an agreement, and at least ensure that there is industrial harmony and productivity at workplaces.
And clearly, it sounds like members are growing louder within the civil service, especially the education sector, where complaints on failure by the government to meet its end of the obligation are seen. What is the way forward from here?
The way forward is boardroom. What we have realized that boardroom meetings are now meaningless unless they are backed by action, particularly by civil servants. The way forward is concerted action or collective action by civil servants to the government that is arrogant. But if the government is conducive to meaningful engagement, that will be the way forward of engaging each other truthfully without firefighting, and also sending people, particularly to negotiate with the government workers, people who can make decisions. The government is very good at making people who always say we are going back to consult. And the way forward must be a discussion under Section 65 of the Constitution. A discussion that must ensure that there is collective bargaining and not collective begging, and that the employer and employees can reach an agreement, and that an agreement is standing and not mere consultation under Statutory Instrument 141 of 1997. So the best way forward is engagement under Section 65 and reaching collective agreement or bargaining or halfway through the process. For example, if the government is coming up with the $25 US, it must note that it unilaterally reduce the salaries of workers. And in terms of labor issues, that's unfair labor act. government must respect Section 65 of the Constitution. It must respect Convention 87 and 98 of the ILO, and also as well as 151 and 154, where the employer must respect the workers, because the government is arrogant. Instead of engaging in collective bargaining, it is merely giving unilateral offers that are meaningless.
So one would want to know, until when are we going to see this back and forth between the government and especially the civil service and in the education sector specifically, where civil servants or these complaints have been going for so long, but without a solution? Until when are we going to see this?
Until government realizes that it is destroying the education system. The education system is no longer in the intensive care. It's now in the terminal ward. Until Zimbabweans also realize that the challenges facing teachers are national challenges, and support teachers and call the government to order in order to pay reasonable salaries to the teachers, so that the teachers are motivated and we build a credible system of education in line with Agenda 2030, where we provide skills and we produce a skilled personnel that can help the development of the nation. Because the challenge is that the majority of Zimbabweans think that the teachers simply want money. The whole essence is that you can't have a credible system of education when the teachers are wallowing in poverty and misery. So I think we need a national approach to address the crisis in the education system.
If I'm hearing you correct, Dr. Joe, you're saying that there is going to be an industrial action because things are not well in camp. And what we want to find out is normally when there is industrial action, people get fired, people get dismissed. Are there any mechanisms from your organization to make sure that those that are going to be victims of that are going to be cushioned?
I want to highlight that there is no struggle without casualties. If we had contemplated the casualties of the Liberation War, we would not have fought in the Liberation War. The best form of protection is ensuring that everyone is geared for that industrial action and the use of the numbers in order to protect each other. There is need for workers, particularly teachers, to realize that this is a collective action and that an injury to one is an injury to all. That is an important aspect, that no one, the days of manna have gone. The days where people could get manna from heaven are no longer present. And the best way forward is collective unity of the workers in order to get better treatment by the government.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joe, for your insights. But probably lastly, what would you be your word to the members that received $25 increment?
My word is very clear that they must walk their talk and talk their walk. More often than not, members inform us to take a course of action which they would not want to walk. So we hope that the members are ready to walk their talk and talk their walk.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Big businesses do not advertise because they are big. They advertise because they want to reach potential new customers. Advertising helps you move your goods off the shelves. Brand visibility engraves your brand in the hearts and minds of your old and new customers. Sly Media TV has a package for everyone, big or small. It's called Everyone Can Stream. Corporate events, weddings, churches or funerals, we stream it all. We take your product and event to over 326,000 followers on Facebook and 96,000 subscribers on YouTube. We cross-post to over 6 pages with a reach of over 1 million followers from as little as $100 per hour. We give you the desired global reach. Call today for a free quotation. 263-772-863-484. or 263 775 964 849 or 263 773 761 800 or email on slymediastreaming@gmail.com. Sly Media TV. Build